This conference will now be recorded.
All right, welcome everybody. It's 6:30 on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. So I'd like to call the meeting to order here in the offices in Winnipeg and acknowledge that we're on Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis people. Due to COVID, some members of our council are choosing to attend remotely, not because they have COVID, but because they're being COVID safe. So I'd like to welcome and introduce Councillor Axworthy, Councillor Kumka, and Councillor Randall. And around the table, thank you, Graham.
Mike Bartmanovich.
Raymond Morrow, CEO.
And Penny McMorris. So, just before we get rolling, a notice to residents and viewers that this office is closed to the public for the time being until code red, maybe later, is lifted.
If we're making such announcements,
Yeah.
for anybody contemplating coming out, not at the lake coming out this weekend, as of tomorrow, Sappies is mandating that you must wear a mask to go into Sappies. Matter of fact, I believe that's already in place. It is in place because I had to borrow a mask from Lee's today.
Yeah, and so is the post office. Sun went up yesterday.
Yeah, so is the post office. Just essentially, if you're coming to the beach, bring a mask. You're going to need it.
Traverse Bay did the same thing last weekend.
Yeah, Traverse Bay for a while now. They've been. You have to have a mask to get in. So just a word to the wise.
Great. All right, so I will move on to the adoption of the agenda. I do have a couple additions. Office closed to the public due to COVID-19 restrictions, and additional fall brushing hours for the Tree Whisperer. Are there any other additions? No. All right, so be it resolved, the agenda be adopted with those two additions. May I have a mover and a seconder? Mike is moving. Thank you. Steve is seconding. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. You seem to be, your video is working great so far, Graham.
I'm not frozen. Oh, good for me. Okay.
Not frozen yet. All right, we'll move on to the minutes of the October 2020. Be it resolved, minutes of the October 20th, 2020 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented and as circulated to all of council. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Erwin, second. Thank you. I did see you there, Graham, but the other two were quicker. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. We do not have any delegations today, so we will move on to accounts and finances, and let me see what my resolution says. Be it resolved, the following list of accounts be approved for payment. Accounts payable checks 8811 to 8828 in the amount of $96,865.99. October 30th payroll in the amount of $68,771.98, and Visa in the amount of $7,967.89. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Erwin, do you want to second that one? Sorry, Graham. And Erwin, would you like to open any discussion?
Again, I've reviewed the list of accounts payable and they appear to be in order. I was pleased to see that we're paying Deck Dynasty for the 2 concrete pads that were installed at the Victoria Beach Water Treatment Plant.
And the garage building is up and the generator is sitting on its pad.
Lovely thing. I can get down there and have a look.
It's quite a thing. All right, any further discussion on the accounts? Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. Carried. No business arising. Moving on to other business. Bylaw 1612, the municipal organizational structure. Be it resolved that bylaw 1612 establishing the organizational structure of council be given a second reading. May I have a mover? Mike, Graham, do you want to get in there?
Oh, yeah, sure, go second that.
Thank you, Mike and Graham. And discussion on the second reading? Quiet bunch today, okay. Not hearing any discussion. All those in favor of second reading?
Aye.
Great, carried. Thank you. Third reading, which is a recorded vote. Be it resolved that bylaw 1612 establishing the organizational structure of council be given third reading and passed. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second? Graham, thank
Second.
you.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on third and final reading? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you very much. Unanimous, Raymond?
Mayor McNorris.
Oh, yeah.
May I be the first
Well, thank you.
to acknowledge Mayor McNorris?
Yeah, it's not gonna change anything.
Is that already, has that title already changed? I thought that we would have had to vote a
By the
couple times.
stroke of a pen, by the stroke of a pen, Steve.
That's sort of, I need two of those.
It was part of the bylaw.
Yeah.
It was part of the bylaw, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I'm just noticing how close that is to Mayor McCheese.
There's still some blanks to be filled in with the various committees and stuff like that, but I think that'll be subject of a separate discussion.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, it
Yeah.
would, yeah. No rush on that.
And
All right.
For some reason, I just processed that it's going to take a lot more than that, but
Do we refer to you as Your Honor?
No, just Penny works for me.
Your
that
Honor,
should be
Penny?
just a gavel.
Yeah, I do have a gavel.
Yeah, it's right over here, just off camera.
Yeah.
You probably
right.
deserve you probably should get a bigger one now, a mayor's gavel, none of this Reevy stuff.
Well, for the times I've had to use it, I think that one is suffice. All right, we will move on. Building sustainable communities. Be it resolved, the arm of Victoria Beach Council approve the Building Sustainable Communities Grant application relating to fire protection. Further be it resolved that the CAO be authorized to submit said grant application to the appropriate government agency. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second?
I'll second that.
Oh, Mike beat to it, okay?
Okay.
I'm just gonna keep my hand down to keep you involved, Graham.
Yeah, right.
So discussion on this grant, I trust council had a chance to read through it.
Respond to.
It was a different type of grant application.
Mhm.
Brad did the bulk of it, passed it on to Raymond and I. I had a look at it, Raymond had a look at it, and I think we're happy with what we've come up with and what they're asking for, and we'll include the information that's required, the quotes for the MSP equipment and his report. Yeah, and we'll send it in. It has to be in by Friday, so we'll send it
Yeah,
in.
that's the deadline. It's kind of a bizarre application. I complimented Raymond on a job well done, and he bounced back to say Penny deserves a lot of the credit. So
Well, and I was gonna,
there you go.
thank you. I was gonna bounce back and say so does Brad. So it was a team effort.
Great.
So any further discussion on this application?
Nope.
I think it's been responded to as best as we could respond to. We've given them what they asked for, and regardless of what it is, how kind of different it is that they asked for. I mean, I've responded to a lot of these in my career with government, and I've never seen anything like this.
Well, let's hope we've given them what they need, and it does go to the Office of the Fire Commissioner.
Well, it's good.
Thanks for trying. All right, no further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you, carried.
With thanks to Brad and you guys for putting all this stuff together.
Moving on to Eastman Regional Municipal Committee. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council be on record as supporting the Eastman Regional Municipal Committee resolution dated October 19th, 2020, regarding the committee's concerns with respect to the Multi-Material Stewardship Manitoba program. I have a mover,
Yeah.
Mike, and a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, thank you. This came out of the Eastman Regional Municipal Committee meetings that I attend normally in Whitemouth. Last one was online. And everyone in this group is very frustrated with MMSM and the lack of pretty much any direction and support. And
It's costing us money to recycle, and we're not getting any benefits back, not from MMSM anyway, from what I'm seeing.
yeah, so this is in support because we do deal with MMSM. So
Mhm. Is it your understanding that there'll be quite a number of municipalities joining in with parallel resolutions?
yeah, there's about 8 or 10 in this group.
I've read a couple of interesting articles and it tragically, unfortunately, it is true. The vast majority of materials that we are steadfastly recycling, it's just a middleman on the way to the landfill. Pretty much anything except metal is essentially making its way to the landfill, because since China and India closed their markets, there is no market for these recyclables, and they are being warehoused until someone can come out the back door to their local landfill, and that's where they're ending. What I'm seeing are a lot of initiatives that promote repurposing as opposed to recycling. Understanding and being aware that there are some things that there's just no value in recycling them, unfortunately, and looking at how we can repurpose rather than recycle. It goes a lot deeper than that, but just that's the direction that I'm kind of looking at right now for our own arm.
Even in Alberta, I don't know if they still do it, but you used to return your I don't know about your wine bottles, but liquor bottles, pop bottles, beer cans, pop cans.
I think still does.
And you would get 2 or 5 cents.
Well, you would get your deposit back because everybody pays a recycling levy on every piece of recyclable material that you purchase.
But yet we don't do that in Manitoba. And even if my kids like to drink, like Mike's Hard Lemonade, for instance, I don't think you can recycle that. But you can recycle the beer can that's the exact same shape and size and the exact same metal. Like,
well, you can return it.
You can return it.
Oh, no,
you can recycle
Hard,
those, but you can't return them.
Mike's Hard, you can return.
Well, okay, but there are.
If they were purchased, if they were wherever they were purchased, if they were purchased at a vendor, the vendor will take them back.
Regardless, almost everything that goes into recycling goes straight into the garbage. The reality is that even before China shut down, our recycling rate was about 4% of total recycling that was supposed to go to a plant. Recycling is an absolutely failed industry. The best thing that we can do is to reduce as much of our waste as possible. I know that there are provinces, but there's also conglomerates and municipalities in BC and Ontario who have taken up the position of trying to put through bylaws, communal bylaws that are banning not only single-use plastics, but also things like wrapped cucumbers and other things that we don't think about. 10, 15 years ago, these things were not wrapped, and now they are. So I would like in the future anyway to see us take the lead and try to get other municipalities to sign off on that. Maybe that's something that we can bring up at the next AMM meeting. But there's a plethora of products that don't need to be wrapped, or not nearly as much as they are right now. That's ultimately what we need to be working to strive for.
I agree with Steve.
Yeah.
It's like the whole premise of recycling is attacking the problem all wrong.
Mhm.
It's treating the symptoms instead of the cause, and the cause is the way that products that we purchase, the way that they are packaged in this day and age. And unfortunately, for the cardboards and the glasses and the plastic, there's no market for it anymore. There's just no market.
Multi-material stewardship should be looking at that. Yes,
Well, the thing is, they should be promoting the opening of plants that can actually repurpose some of our recyclables. They're not doing this. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut into Graham's time.
All right, Graham, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, this builds on what Mike has suggested. In connection with this resolution, which is the right thing to do, I expect that we, like most other municipalities, rural municipalities in particular, are going to have to rethink their recycling practices and policies because the whole game is changing. It's regrettable that we and our taxpayers are punished for recycling. So now it's not politically prudent for us to discourage recycling. So we have to find ways to at least minimize the costs associated with recycling.
And make it worthwhile.
Make it worthwhile, absolutely.
Not just financially, but
Yeah.
other way.
Yeah.
Okay.
It strikes me that if most of the recyclables are going into the landfill now, why are we spending extra money to try and recycle stuff that ultimately we should just haul to the dump?
Exactly.
Well,
It's unfortunate.
My point, we got to rethink it.
feel like we're doing the right thing,
Yeah,
you know,
we do. It's a feel-good thing. You're right.
and you would hate for people to just start throwing things in the garbage.
Yeah.
If there is,
It is
If there
a
is.
viable
it's
alternative.
hard to retrain.
Yeah. Well, it's similar to what Mike says. It may never be fiscally viable, but it at least needs to be environmentally viable. Otherwise, why the heck are we continuing to encourage it?
So, all right, good discussion. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Moving on to the next resolution that came out of that same committee. Be it resolved, the arm of Victoria Beach Council be on record as supporting the Eastman Regional Municipal Committee resolution dated October 19th, 2020, regarding the unauthorized public use of Crown lands. May I have a mover?
I'll move that.
Thank you, Graham. And Erwin, will you second? Thank you. And this one, again, some of the communities that are a part of this committee have old abandoned quarries or gravel pits. And they're finding that people are camping, quadding, hunting, doing whatever in these gravel pits, these abandoned gravel pits that are Crown land. They're making a mess getting there. They're making a mess when they are there. They're illegally camping, illegally being allowed to use it and not cleaning up. There's no sanitation. There's been 2 deaths at 2 different locations related to no supervision or no regulations at these abandoned Crown land sites. I don't know that we have much in the way of that, although Raymond did remind me that we do have Crown lands. And it's just Crown lands to take more responsibility for what happens on their property.
Yep.
Yeah, Elk Island is Crown, so it is pretty easy to access these days.
Are you calling for discussion?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know where it came from.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a worthwhile resolution, and credit to Eastman Regional for sponsoring this and bringing this forward for us to join in on.
Stop the presses. I disagree with Graham.
Uh-oh.
What?
In my management career,
Mhm.
I always encouraged my people, if you got a problem, bring it to me. But when you bring the problem to me, have a couple of solutions with it.
Mhm.
There's no solution in this. It outlines a problem. It gives no thought. It gives no recommendations to solutions to any of the problems whatsoever. This resolution, this letter this communication is going to end up in the round bin as soon as it hits the minister's desk.
Okay.
Well, let's carry right on with that. Mike, do you have some solutions to offer? And is that something that municipalities should attack on their own? I think each municipality may have to tailor its own remedial action associated with this resolution.
I will admit that that I am concerned about this. However, the municipalities have had the benefit of realizing this issue and thinking about this issue and putting thought into this issue. They can't expect an immediate resolution to an issue like this. I mean, you have to give some kind of parameters. This is the problem. Here's what we think you need to do. Here are our recommendations to fix this problem. Do I have solutions? If I think about it, I will. And that's why I think a little more thought should have gone into this resolution before it was voted on and accepted.
Is there a role that the AMM could play in carrying this initiative
I don't
further?
think so. I think it's the group of RMs that got together. They need to take this back before they action it, and they have to not only express their concerns about the problems of illegal use of Crown lands, but also here are our suggested solutions.
I know that they have contacted the RCMP, but beyond that, I'm not entirely sure what the affected municipalities. Some of it is even private land.
I mean, I appreciate the spirit of this resolution, but I can't support it because I don't think it goes far enough.
Is it worth tabling it, and then maybe we might be able to take the lead to talk to some of those other municipalities to see what they want to, if they have any ideas? Maybe we can put it into ours, even though probably a lot of them have already passed. Maybe we can throw some ideas into ours. It'd give us 2 weeks to think and to make those contacts.
I think it's important that we let the province know that we're not happy. It's outside of our area of responsibility or authority. It's outside of our area of expertise in terms of coming up with solutions. But I think it's important that we make a clear statement that our municipality is unhappy with the way the province is managing its own properties.
Well, that's interesting. Okay. I can go back to the Eastman Regional Committee and ask for more of an in-depth, if you will, comment from them in terms of what recommendations or what actions they have asked from Crown
Well, right
Land.
now, the resolution before us is predicated on the wording that they have suggested with all the whereases.
We can still have a vote.
Can we add to it or supplement it? Or
I
maybe
don't think that's within our purview. No, we didn't start this.
We were just in support of it or not in support of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so I guess I will call the vote. All those in favor of supporting this resolution?
I'll say, yeah, we've got to start someplace, but Mike's right. It has to be carried forward from there.
And all those opposed? Okay, Mike, so 4-1. Good discussion, and I will take, absolutely, and I will take that, or some of your concerns back to this committee.
Okay, I appreciate it.
And
it can always be followed up with a secondary resolution. Sorry, it can always be followed up with a secondary resolution giving suggestions. So it could be a two-parter.
Yeah, I just hope that we can give them some food for thought.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Great discussion. Right. Next up is the 2020 tax sale date. Be it resolved that the 2020 tax sale auction be scheduled to take place on Thursday, April 8th, 2021. Now I have a mover. Mike, thank you. Steve, second, thank you. That seems early, but I guess they've already been working on it, haven't they?
Well, it's actually late. Normally you'd have it in the
It's November.
same year,
Yeah,
but it was postponed because of COVID.
yeah.
And now it's been reinstated, so we're actually looking, we have to come up with a date. Council comes up with the date, they'll work with the date, the tax service company that's the taxing.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's all they want. They want a date so that.
Yeah.
That's what they're.
And are we seeing people paying up
There've
now?
been-
They're getting
there have been-
reminded.
I think there have been 2 or 3 that have paid enough to be out.
Right.
Yes. There's still 5 or 6 left.
All right, discussion?
Yeah, and before anybody gets the idea that we're trying to foreclose on the old widow, that's not what this exercise is about. And it's not about imperiling people who may have been financially disadvantaged due to COVID. What we are doing is we are saying, you folks that for years now have refused to pay your property taxes, you are now at risk of losing your property through tax sale if you do not do like the rest of us in this municipality and pay our property tax.
Anybody else?
I was basically going to say pretty much that. I would also note to anybody who has concerns, especially that it's coming up this year, is that these properties have been given multiple warnings. The process has been followed to the letter, and there is an incredible amount of redundancies built into them. There's a multitude of chances given to all these properties. This was simply, as Mike pointed out, the decision came down to the fact that this has been going on for numerous amounts of years, and there's no guarantee or even reason to think that by postponing this one additional year, or maybe 2 or 3 or 4, whenever COVID decides to go away, that these monies will ever be recouped. So this is coming down to the fact that you can only give so many opportunities for repayment, and they haven't come through. So it's time, and this would have happened this year.
Oh, hang on, Steve, you're stuttering.
Frozen audio.
Yeah, your audio's gone a little wonky there, Steve. Sorry.
And video,
And video, yeah.
just to, again,
Oh,
support, what Mike and Steve and Graham have said. It's these issues, these people have been delinquent for years. This is nothing to do, the problem may have been worsened by COVID, but it existed long before COVID. It's simply time to pay.
It's simply time to pay your taxes. Welcome back, Steve.
Sorry, I lost my audio again for some reason.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Your last statement got lost because your audio froze as well. Can you recall what you said?
Just remind me what the last thing was that I said.
Oh, we couldn't hear
Long
you.
overdue.
Oh,
not
okay.
directly COVID-related.
Yeah, no, I can say it again. So the summary is that I was pretty much saying what Mike was stating. It was just with some amendment that I wanted to be clear that there has been ample opportunity to pay. This has been going on for numerous years, but there's a lot of redundancies that are built into the process before we actually reach this stage with this process. So this isn't something that was decided overnight. This was something that we've been looking at through last year. We extended it, and it has just come to the point now that even if with COVID now, or if it was if it's pushed 3 or 4 years into the future, there's no reason to ever assume that these monies are going to get collected with no matter how many opportunities we give. So this is just simply saying that we have given more than enough warning, more than enough opportunity. There's several years without payment. So now's the time to say that unfortunately this is it, and there's no chance that there's no foreseeable chance that we would ever receive these monies. So it's perfectly reasonable to expect that we would have moved forward this year.
Yeah, and this just initiates their procedure. There's still fail safes.
And this is run
They
by
can still
tax.
pay. So
And this is run by Tax Service. This is a company who does
Yep.
this for
Yeah.
many municipalities in the province. So, okay, all those in favor?
All right.
Would you read the resolution?
I think we're good. The tax sales on.
Carried. The tax sale date is April 8th, 2021. Right. Moving on to the cross-country ski trail extension. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council authorized the volunteer cross-country ski groomers, Michael Kraus et al., to extend the existing ski trails as per option B of the revised trail extension dated October 28, 2020. Said extension to be contained entirely on municipal land situated on the southwest quarter 15-20-7 east of Prime Meridian, south of Legal Plan 10568. May I have a mover? Mike, thank you.
I'll second that.
Graham will second that. Thank you. My only concern, I almost hate to bring it up, is how do we know for sure it's all one municipal land?
The diagram that has been provided is definitely on the west side. It's well south of any private property.
Okay.
You can see it where it lines up with 8th Avenue. It's 3 or 4 private properties inward of that, but on municipal land.
Yep.
Okay.
My concern, are we comfortable with Mr. Kraus's definition of only light brushing is required?
I am, because I've walked that trail
That's all
with him.
scrub, isn't
It's
it?
all scrubby stuff. Steve, have you walked the section that is option B?
yeah, that was before my isolation. But yeah, no, I'm good with either of the two options. There were a couple of concerns that were brought to me in the last couple of days from some different people, just with the widening that would have to go on. Again, there's no there aren't any trees that would have to be removed, at least none living. There was one that was completely dead. I found myself a little bit torn after those discussions, only because they would have to be sort of brushed over to 6 feet. And I have put a lot of time thinking about it, but I really come down to the fact several things. First of all, this fully separates the cross-country skiers from the snowmobilers, so that will never be a problem in the future. The second thing is that, and with respect to one of the concerns, the intent of this is to be exclusively a winter trail. Does that mean that people are going to be using it in the summer? Probably, but we can put measures to just ensure that people understand this is only meant to be for the winter trail. And what I want is to map it out so we have 2 separate maps, one for the summer, one for the winter, so then it's going to be clear. But I think that's reasonable. And the third thing is that, as I was explaining to these people who brought up these concerns, was that this should be the very last trail that would be put into the Victoria Beach system, other than the little walking trails, which you can sort of find that have been used for years. So this would sort of be it. Everything would then be connected. You have full separation between all the groups. So I have really thought about all those different issues, but I think ultimately this is a good thing for the trail system and for the beach.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything that promotes better use of the lands within Victoria Beach. And as a matter of fact, I'm thinking that if this is a year-round trail, the year-round traffic is actually going to help keep vegetation pounded down on the track and might even be of a benefit to the skiers when it comes to winter.
And it's on our property.
And it's
not
on municipal
private
property,
land,
yeah.
Yeah, I still sort of go back to really this. In my opinion, this should remain a winterized trail. That is the intent of this trail. There's no real benefit for it to be used as a summer trail, and I really think we should have those two exclusive areas. The other reason too is that if you get a lot more traffic coming through that area, then it might have the negative effect of bothering some of those residents in those areas, because it is a little bit close to a few houses. So I would prefer that it remain a winter trail.
Well,
No more or less than the other people are being that.
I don't have any real problem with summer use as well. I mean, we have to keep in mind, and I know we all do, that the whole trail network is for the benefit of all residents, not just a seasonal or special interest group. So we want to make it as inclusive as we can.
We'll see how it gets used.
Let's start with winter. Let's see what happens. Let's get this going.
And they're keen.
They're keen, and I'm keen. As I said, I'm keen, especially in the shoulder seasons, to have people in as many parts of Victoria Beach as possible. I like to have people around that are recreating, that are enjoying the area, because the more populous it is, the less likely it is people are going to take a look at certain parts of Victoria Beach that may be opportune for break and enters and such, if they're seeing a lot of people around. So I'm all for it.
That's my phone, $5 for me.
So $5 for Benny.
Yeah, Erwin, do you have any comments? All right.
Looks good to me.
Pardon me? Okay. I'll call the question. All those in
Looks
favor?
All right.
Thank you very much.
I'm happy that it's going to happen before winter.
For sure. Yeah.
So were they, and now they might actually have a couple of weekends to get it done. I mean, this past weekend, Halloween was miserable.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Terrible.
miserable.
Well, it kept COVID numbers down. So.
Yeah, isn't that nice to hear?
Yeah, just the one thing to mention, and sort of just popped in my head about the trail system, is that there was the idea that had popped up that we should grab some one-way signs, just smaller ones for the system, so that everybody's moving in the same direction, so you don't have people crossing. And that would be a COVID measure to ensure that if people are all moving the same way, then they can be separated easily. If you have to pass and you're close together,
Excellent
there's
idea.
no way to.
Excellent idea. You have my full support. No, it's a great idea. I mean, that's why the country market was so successful this year.
Yeah.
One-way traffic all the way through. And I think we should do the same thing with this as well. So good point, Steve.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, up next is the office closure. Various further restrictions have been put in place with respect to the COVID-19 pandemic in the Winnipeg region. Be it resolved that the arm of Victoria Beach Council authorized closure of the municipal office to the public until further notice. May I have a mover?
I'll move that.
Graham, thanks. Everybody put their hand up, so Erwin, I'll give it to you for a second. And we briefly discussed this at the beginning of the meeting. I mean, we're in code red here in Winnipeg, and for the safety of our staff and our residents who may think it's okay to come in here, it's not.
No.
And our buildings in the municipality are still closed to the public. Public Works,
The
fire,
staff
police.
the staff would still come in. They would operate the computers and phones, but there would be no other customers coming in.
That's right. Yeah. Business as usual.
The office is technically open, but not to the public.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can reach the office and any staff members, by email, by phone. Same goes for council. But we have to protect our staff.
Has there been any discussion about having our staff work from home?
It's pretty difficult to do in a municipal government setting. Too many things, I think, that you have to be in an office setting complete.
It's all on the computer.
Well, you can do stuff remotely, but
Yeah.
The one thing to note about that though, Erwin, is I mean, what you're obviously familiar with the office is that everybody has their own areas in that office. It might be small, but I mean, each person can be fully separated from the other. So I'm not sure that that would necessarily be all that beneficial. I think that if any resident has an issue with this, the one thing that they really need to understand is that if the office were to get hit with COVID, we don't have a lot of staff members in the office. And that would bring the RM pretty quickly to a grinding halt. So this isn't just only to protect the office staff, is to protect the residents who want to visit, but it also is protecting the RM ultimately, because if our staff goes down, then
We'd have-
It's our staff at the lake.
Yeah, absolutely.
My concern is that our staff still have to travel to the office. They still have to go up and down the elevator, and that creates additional risk for them.
And there are COVID protocols in place. Elsewhere in the building, you're wearing a mask. You can only have 2 people in the elevator at any given time with physical distancing. And as soon as you walk in the front door, you're sanitizing.
and everybody's traveling in private vehicles,
Yeah.
in their own vehicles.
Yeah, and I think those who can work from home are working from home. The population in the building is a percentage of what it was pre-COVID. So while I certainly appreciate your concerns, and I think we could probably come up with guidelines where they could work from home, but as Raymond said, it would be a pretty difficult undertaking. So I think with the COVID considerations in place now, just closing the office to the public, I think is probably as much as we need to do for now while we're under code red.
And the staff so far are comfortable with this.
That's one of the key considerations. If the staff is on board with this, then that's fine. There's no need for us to question it further.
They spend most of their day in 3 physically disparate sections. There's 2 offices and 1 area that's kind of walled off. So it's not like they're all sitting around one coffee table.
My only question would be, does everybody in the office have access to masks?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to wear a mask to come into this.
Oh,
building.
to come into the building, you have to have a mask.
And travel
Okay, well then.
within the
Yeah.
building.
Because it's just in the elevator. I mean, you can sanitize your hands as much as you want. It's not going to really do too much. It's about breathing in aerosolized virus. So.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
All right, any more discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
All right.
Carried, thank you very much. And the last addition to the agenda, be it resolved that the RM of Victoria Beach Council authorize the brushing contractor to complete the chipping of deadfall in the municipality, not to exceed a maximum total of 32 hours of extra billing. Would you like to move this one, Mike?
I certainly would.
And second,
I'll second that.
Graham? Or, yes, okay, Graham, thank you.
What's
Mike, you
the extra dollar cost? What's 32 hours? for?
$400,
Up to-
maximum $6,400. $200 per hour.
Maximum $6,400. We've had an extraordinary fall, just like we had an extraordinary fall last year that caused us to have to spend significantly more on clearing in the spring cleanup. Well, we all remember what happened on the Labor Day weekend, and just this past weekend, we had another mini weather bomb blow through where there were more trees. There were areas that were not finished because there was so much work, and I've asked council to approve these additional 32 hours so that not so that the contractor can go back and clean up where he's already been, but to come and finish off where he hasn't even been yet. That my area is one of those. So I'd love to see the job finished.
Yeah,
It will certainly reduce the chance of
I'm sorry, go ahead, Erwin.
Go ahead, Erwin.
Come spring, it will certainly reduce the chance of the fire risk if that deadfall is not cleaned up.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Graham?
it's a reasonable amendment to the original contract because of unusual circumstances.
Steve, did you want to weigh in?
Not really. I think that we have to analyze how this is being done in the future. I think that we need to really take a look at our budget and realize that this is now the new norm. I mean, this is what the third year in a row that we've had these huge wind bonds. And for most of the summer residents, they're not going to understand that, you might have trees on your house. I know that I've already taken 4 trees off of some of my neighbors' houses who don't come up in the winter. I mean, I'll keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it for the entirety of the rest of the term. Conifers are a huge threat to the RM, and they're falling because they rot from the inside. But I mean, this program has been phenomenally successful, and more successful now going into the future, especially as all these conifers are falling. If you go around and take a look, that's the majority of them. But it's helping us to get rid of a huge fire hazard. And the best part about this is because of the system that we have a good amount of wood chips up at Public Works, and I'm really happy that rather than burning the carbon which has been collected from the environment, it's now we have this huge pile of wood chips. So if you wait until the summer, don't just go ahead and put it down onto your ground now, because you could be spreading pathogens to the trees that are around you. But we have a really good system because now we can put back into nature what is pulled from the environment. So it's a really good system, but we need to analyze how we're pricing this out next year. And if there's a more efficient way of doing it so that we don't have to have this other increase in expenditures again.
Graham?
We have to think about expanding the scope of this particular contract and putting it out to tender. As far as the dollar values, that's to a large extent in the hands of the people who are bidding on this work. Hopefully, where year after year it turns out that there's more than had been anticipated, they'll govern themselves accordingly with their prices. But maybe add some words to our scope of work when we call for the tenders. Raymond, is this the last of a 2-year agreement with the current service provider?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so it goes out again for 2021 and 2022?
Depending on what term council wants to.
Yeah, we don't have to.
Yeah. Well, we might give a little more thought to the wording associated with the call for tenders. So, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, all those in favor?
All right.
Carried.
Yep. Steve came back just in time.
Yeah, right.
I have to put more wood on my fire. It's freezing in here.
Freezing.
I was so hot last night, it was 11 degrees.
Wow.
All right, we will move on then to correspondence. I have a few things. I don't know about anybody else. The AMM Council Code of Conduct course is now online and available, and it is mandatory for all elected and re-elected officials.
Already signed up.
I already took the course.
Ooh.
I had some spare time. It took me about 1.5 hours or thereabouts, and I got a little certificate at the end. I attended an anti-racism seminar by Pretty Shaw. Graham and I were there online, and I thought it was really well done and generated some great discussion, and I found it quite enlightening, actually. I mentioned earlier the BB water plant, the generators arrived, it's been placed on its pad, the garage is up. Also, I attended a pre-AMM Zoom meeting yesterday for the AGM that's coming up on November 23rd, I think. And it was a 1-hour session. There's going to be early voting for the resolutions as well as for the executive positions. So they're going to be sending emails out with all that information, and they've lowered the price. It was going to be $75. Normally it's around 300 if you recall.
Yeah.
And then we have to factor in hotels, travel and that. It was going to be 75. They've now reduced it to $25 per participant.
Hmm.
Which is,
Good.
you know, significant. I mean, their expenses are way down, but there's a lot more, as you know, doing a class online.
Yeah.
Try and get,
There's a lot of
All
work.
of
There's
us
a lot of
people-
work involved, and Steve
Yeah.
knows it too. There's
Yeah.
a lot of work involved preparing for an online course.
yeah, and this, you're talking about hundreds of people attending.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that was, so that was my update on some correspondence and stuff. Anybody else want to weigh in? Graham?
Two items, whether this is the best forum or not, from correspondence. There's the annual housekeeping note from Community Futures asking us to decide who our delegates are going to be. I assume that can be attended to when we get back to the committees and the assignments and that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Okay, and number two, an interesting letter regarding an aluminum yawl. We now have two boats that we're supposed to be thinking about. I just wanted to acknowledge the correspondence for the record. And Raymond, I presume you'll be looking into this and getting more information.
I think that's something for council to
Yeah.
talk about also.
We'll discuss that when we can get together.
Yep, fair enough.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Erwin?
Each of us will have received a very interesting email from Ron Hampton concerning some issues that he has. It's not my intention to discuss this now, but I think we should set aside a little bit of time and add this item onto our strategic initiative review. It might be appropriate.
Okay.
On the strategic review, Mike is not really available until later.
Yeah, we're still searching for a date. Are we any closer to, Mike's got a problem until after the 24th.
Tuesdays, Thursdays are bad for Mike, and
Yeah.
I guess we could do it on a Monday.
Mondays are,
Okay, have a look at your Monday schedules in November. And let us know tomorrow.
But Monday's in November, okay. Strategic.
It can't be the 23rd, that's the AMM.
selected before.
Yeah.
I would suggest the 9th or the 16th. Those are the two Mondays before the AMM conference.
Well, I've already indicated I like the sooner the better before this bumps
Yeah.
into other priorities. This gets pushed ahead and ahead. Can we agree on the 9th, or should we reply by email later so you can do some polling, Penny?
I can say yay to the 9th right now.
I
I can
think,
say okay.
I'm okay for the 9th as well.
Steve?
Steve?
Set a date and a time and I'll clear my schedule. So
There we go.
That's the one and only advantage of teaching online.
Well, and then Raymond is certainly a factor. Is it going to work for Raymond?
Monday the 9th it is.
Okay, this would be by go to meeting or whatever. What about the time? Can we nail that down while we're all together here?
well, are we going to do it some virtually? Some might be here, I'm not sure, or I guess we could do it all virtually.
Everything I'm doing will be virtual.
Yeah.
I would prefer
So what
virtual.
What time do you think, Mike? Like it'll take us a full afternoon, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a long session. So maybe start at 1:30 or
1 to 5 or.
How about 1 to
I would
4?
personally rather start at 9 or 10 because the last time I remember that we started around 10 and we went through until like 7 or something.
I don't think.
Well, we could break it up.
It was a long day. I remember that.
We could break it up with a lunch break if we have to. We've done that in the past. Maybe start it at 9:30 and see how far we get. Just a suggestion.
Oh, right, we have a new staff member coming that day.
Oh,
Afternoon would be better.
So can we start it at 1? If we need to, we can add
yeah,
on.
let's
to the
start it at
16th.
1, and if we need to,
Okay.
we can break for dinner and keep going.
Okay, so we'll say 1 o'clock.
I'm fine with that. So,
Okay.
1 o'clock on the 9th, we'll do a strategic session.
okay, it's a deal.
All right, anything else, gentlemen?
Just one last thing. According to footprints, there are still some bears that refuse to go to sleep, and people are forgetting to properly secure the lids on the garbage bins, folks. Please make sure you clip the lids shut so that poor Kim doesn't have to go wandering off into the bush looking for remnants from last night's buffet.
Kim, like, we don't have any seasonal. You know, Brian's the only one who's still left. Seasonal.
When was Kim? Because I saw Kim just, it must have been very recently then.
Friday?
Oh, okay, maybe,
Friday.
yeah, okay, yeah,
I think it's
okay,
on Friday.
okay. So we have no Kim to go hunting for
No.
trash in the bush. So please make sure that the lids are secured
And
before you leave.
Don't keep your garbage in your porch.
Yeah, and don't keep your garbage in your porch in your front yard.
Right. And Mike, if you don't mind, I'll give you a call later. There's still a loose end where mine is concerned.
Oh, okay, yeah, please do.
Good.
All right, Steve?
Yeah, I just had two things. Well, I guess three things. First of all, your explanation actually clarifies as to why I'm finding so much garbage in the back of my property as I've been fire smarting. I find it like it's crazy. I'll pick something up and there'll be garbage underneath, and I've been doing this for 3 years. Anyway, there were two things. First of all, get your flu shot, get your flu shot, get your flu shot, get your flu shot, especially this year. The second thing is that I was told by a couple of residents that they don't think that Victoria Beach is at risk for COVID, that we're all isolated here in the wintertime. And I've also heard from a couple of people telling me of people who think that way. I just wanted to be very clear right now that this is a virus. It doesn't care if you're a conservative, liberal, socialist, a communist, a fascist. It doesn't care if you're in China, Canada, or whatever country. It's a virus. So don't socialize with other people. And if you do want to socialize, wear a mask and do everything that you've been told to do, social distance, everything. If we have one case in Victoria Beach because we're all close together and we all appreciate each other, then it can run rampant through our community. So please don't think that this isn't going to hit us, because if it does, it'll hit us like an absolute anvil.
Yeah, for sure. Good point.
Thanks, Steve.
And get your flu shot.
I got it yesterday at the social.
I'm getting talked into it.
Okay. Be it resolved that November 3rd, 2020 regular council meeting be adjourned. Next regular council meeting to be held November 17th, 2020 at 6:30 here at 705 1661 Portage Avenue. We have a mover, Mike, second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Good night.